Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
The bar. Oh, holy cow. Dude, it's live. Episode fucking 48.
Live and in living color, my brother.
Yes. Oh my god. And you know, we've got such an interesting movie for this week because not only does it have some great like staples in horror, you know, in terms of like some of the actors and some of the features we see, but there's just some like great fucking moments in this movie that I honestly was like surprised by, you know.
It kind of starts out slow. There's a little bit of like comedy stuff, kind of like lighthearted stuff. The first kill is really lackluster compared to the rest, but after that, man, it's just like it goes at a breakneck speed. There's a bunch of really fucking brutal kills. Like it's a fun movie.
Yeah. So, you know, today we're talking about Intruder. It's you know, we've mentioned, you know, Scott Spiegel on here, one of his other movies on here even.
We did a Hostel 3,
which is so random that he went on to do a Hostel movie now.
But there's a lot of names attached to this movie because we got Spiegel, who started out like he co-wrote Evil Dead 2. He was in he was a longtime friend of the Raimi brothers, and he was in Within the Woods, which was like the precursor to the Evil Dead. Lawrence Bender is a producer on this movie, and he went on to produce a bunch of Tarantino movies like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, et cetera, et cetera. Then obviously, you know, Sam and Ted Raimi both play roles in this. We also have Bill Roberts, who's in Evil Dead 2 and Darkman, and then we have Renee Estevez, who is related to Emilio and the Sheens.
I was wondering.
Yeah. She's in Sleepaway Camp 2 and Heathers and a bunch of other shits. Like you said, there's a lot of names. And then, you know, there's it's one of those movies where they have a person that's like heavily featured like on the box and in all the materials and is only in the movie for about 2 minutes. So we'll get to that later.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, dude. Like it's like, and that's one you know, like with everybody else attached, you know, you kind of figure something's coming. But like you said, we'll get to that. And you know, there's also like a random what's his name, Greg Nicotero. He plays like this like a random side character.
Yeah, he's like a bread delivery man, I believe is
but it's like, you know, it's like these are all like, I mean, they're just like, you know, we hail all these people as like legends, you know, in terms of the horror movies, right? And so it's just 100%. So cool to see them all like, you know, just in this like earlier work, you know.
Totally. So before we get started, I have a couple fun facts about this movie. So it was shot in a real grocery store, and it's based on earlier. Miss Spiegel had directed like a short film on Super 8 called Night Crew, and so this is like, and it's like partially based on experiences that he had working at a similar market.
Wow.
So apparently, there's a song in the movie that Randy sings that is the same song that Shelley sings in the original Evil Dead, which is pretty cool. And then the VHS cover and the trailer apparently revealed the identity of the killer, spoiling it, which is hilarious. And then the last thing, and I don't know why we didn't think about this until 48 episodes in, but like I feel like we should have started every episode kind of like how Joe Bob Briggs on Monster Vision would talk about like the body count in the movie.
Oh yeah.
There's the body count is 9 in this movie, so I feel like I don't know why we, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like some of these stats, I think are like definitely like we need to pre-curse the movie from now on with those.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I think starting off here is a good space. It's like you said, there's like a total of 9 fucking victims in this movie. That's funny that you brought up the covers. Sort of like revealing the killer, because after watching it and then looking at the cover that they have on Shudder, I was like, yeah, dude, you could have pieced it together. Like the dude on the cover gives it away. It's so funny though. But yeah, like this movie, like it starts off with some like pretty, like you mentioned, it's in a real store where it's shot. It's like the Lake Walnut grocery store. And you get some kind of like you get some kind of cool shots throughout this movie, but one of them kind of happens near the beginning of this, where like it sort of fades into this from like the credits, where it's just basically showing like a full moon into like the store, and there's a shot from like a grocery cart point of view, where like it's like somebody's making announcements like the grocery store is closing, and then you're kind of like the lens is like looking through the grates, and then like this like cereal box just gets placed in the cart like right in front of the camera, and it's like it reminds me of like something that you'd see in like an Evil Dead work or something, because it's just
100%
like, almost like it's not, I don't mean unprofessional in like a bad way, but it looks slightly like amateurly shot in that way. That like that it looks like it has like that kind of real feel to it.
I get what you're saying, and there's a lot of other like really cool shots in this movie or cuts in this movie like that, and so I know what you're saying with where it does have that kind of feel to it. There's a very like homegrown like you said, it's not like it's like a big budget like movie. Like you can, I know what you're trying to say. It's to the benefit, not the detriment of the movie, for sure.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the thing as you kind of start getting introduced to some of the characters here, including like the interaction right at the beginning with like the 2 ladies at the cash register, and like the
Jennifer
old man.
And Linda. Yeah.
So like they just have like this really kind of fun, lighthearted interaction. They're chatting about stuff while like ringing this guy up. He, this old man drops all of his groceries, and like it's just like it's just this like really almost like wholesome-esque scene of like people just living their lives.
Totally.
But that like almost immediately gets kind of shaken up like right after that, because like Linda, I believe, is the one that goes out to get the carts.
Jennifer,
excuse me. Yeah. Jennifer goes out to get the carts, and it's like, here's the bad boy staring at her, like smoking a stove in his leather jacket. Well, like, and so you immediately get this sinister vibe. Where it's like, okay, what's going on? Something's about to go down.
Totally.
But
that's Craig. It's our first shot of Craig. Yeah, he's just outside, kind of creepily watching her collect carts. And there's he pushes one, and she notices this cart come rolling up. And then when she goes to look at like who maybe pushed the cart, there's no one there.
He's like,
so you're kind of like,
yeah, like, is he a phantom or something? Because then as she like goes back inside, you see his reflection back on the door again.
Totally.
Yeah, and so like, and yeah, you don't know anything about these characters really at this point, so you're just like, okay, what the fuck is up with this dude? And like, yeah, it's kind of, you can kind of note that like obviously the grocery store sort of shutting down. It seems like the night crew's getting ready to do inventory and stuff.
Totally.
But that's when you actually have like your first like face-to-face interaction between Jennifer and Craig, and that's where you learn it's a bit tumultuous. Like
yeah, he's kind of a dick. Like he comes up and mentions all these letters he wrote her and all these missed calls. He even tells Linda to like fuck off. Like, you know, that's great.
He has this line. He goes, I have a gimp hand from writing all the letters to you.
Oh yeah.
Because like, as we find out, Craig's just recently out of jail. Doesn't seem like Linda or Jennifer really wants to be involved with him anymore. But he's
we learned that later. But yeah, they kind of just have this, you know. While this is happening, Linda presses her emergency button. We see these two gentlemen who we come to learn later are the owner and the co-owner of the store. Bill, who is a more predominant character and a more important character, kind of looks out the window to see what's happening. And this is when Jennifer tells Craig, you know, it's $1.35 for cigarettes. And I'm sitting there thinking, fuck, I wish cigarettes for $1.35 a pack right now.
Dude, fucking hell. Yeah, no, it's like, damn, them good times right there.
Yeah, she also tells Craig that it's over and that it's been over for a year now and he doesn't want to hear it. And then he goes to pay, kind of grabs her hands. She runs off. He follows her and kind of goes a little too far by grabbing her shoulder. We have a great line where she calls him crazy. He fucking slaps her across the face. Don't ever call me that, he says.
Like really making the point there as he's going crazy.
Right. And later on, like there's some really great lines that Bill like has, but there's some great dialogue in this movie. So anyway, Bill, the co-owner, comes running up behind Craig. They kind of get in a little tussle. Another gentleman runs up, you know, and she's trying to get them to stop. Craig yanks the other guy to the floor by his hair. Bill gets up, and then we have this hilarious scene where Bill and Craig like exchange punches, and it has that ridiculous like whoosh, like punch sound.
it's like not as heavy as an Indiana Jones, but it's like there's definitely this noticeable back and forth.
Yeah,
they're like smacking each other. And they're going like this happened a couple of times in the movie, but it's like blow for blow. It's like one person will punch the other one, and the other one waits for a second, then punches the guy back. It's like,
yeah, and it's just like this whole like wild fracas breaks out, including a hilarious scene where the character Randy, that's played by Sam Raimi, like rolls up with a cup of coffee to like see what's going on and gets shoved into this fucking Diet Pepsi display and just sends the whole thing fucking sprawling everywhere. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. It had me like, and I mean, you know, whatever with this is, you know, wrestling reference I can't avoid at this point. We just had these heavy tones of like that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Booker T in the grocery store, dude. I was just waiting for somebody to smack somebody else with the frozen pizza.
Oh my god, it was glorious.
Yes, dude. But like, yeah, these, you know, it's like it's wild because it's like this whole kerfuffle happens, and then they basically just like, you know, then like they drag him out or whatever.
Well, he runs off.
He books off. He just like, that's right, because that's why I thought was so strange. It's like they have this like fisticuffs like moment, like they're in a fight with this dude, and he just bolts out of the aisle and like somewhere else, you know, presumably in the store on the premises, and then they all just kind of go back to normal work.
Well, we have this long scene where Jennifer goes to call the police, and like a bunch of the other guys go checking out different parts. It's like a kind of an elongated scene, but they go checking out like Randy checks the meat locker. They check different parts of the store. Bill lights up a cigarette. He's in the office. We see Jennifer still on hold. Produce Joe, who's played by Ted Raimi, jump scares one of the guys looking for the back.
That's right.
Then we see, you know, Linda's searching the beer aisle. She also gets a jump scare from a character named Bub. But eventually, this is the first of many hilarious lines that the character Bill has, because Bub mentions that he thinks Craig might be up in the attic, and Bill replies, "Up there where I caught you guys smoking that wacky tobacco." So they go to check it out. Bill is like climbing up the ladder, gets to like the last rung, reaches for a piece of wood. It breaks and he like just plummets down the flight of stairs. Then he gets up and has another great line. He falls. He falls and he gets up and he goes, "Son of a whore." It's fucking great.
Oh my God, yeah, Bill, man. He's like, and that's the guy who has like the fisticuffs moment with Craig earlier, and he's just like this quintessential, like he's like your uncle, just ready to like just do anything, I guess,
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like then this leads back to, so somehow right after that scene, you come back to Jennifer, who's still on the phone, and Craig shows back up.
Yeah,
gets back in her face and like demands he's like demanding his change or whatever.
Yeah, and then he tries to like forcibly kiss her.
Yeah,
it's pretty creepy. So
Craig's a fucking weirdo, man.
He's a little intense. But yeah, so he tries. He, like you mentioned, he shows back up. He tries to kiss her. The rest of the guys then show up, and this is where they get in like another minor scuffle, but end up kicking him out and locking the door.
Yeah. I think Bill gets another punch right in his gut. Like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, again, there's like I wanted to like mention another kind of cool shot, because you've had a couple sprinkled in where it's like, they really play well with reflections in this movie. And so like there's a shot right when they're kicking him out where they push him, into the outside of the store, and you see through like the window, it's like the reflection of all the store employees, and then like Craig, and it's just like a really cool shot because it's like clear enough that you make out every single character in the window.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I don't know. It's just I love like little stuff like that.
Yeah, right. I agree.
But yeah, this kind of leads to like a meeting, like a staff meeting almost.
Yeah.
Catching up on obviously the events of the night, but this is also when you find out that there's kind of a situation happening at the store itself, where the co-owners have decided to sell the place, but it's mostly the decision of one individual. Danny.
He kind of tells everyone that he wants them to start marking down everything in the store because him and Bill are selling it. The staff's obviously upset, and he mentions they're selling it to the city and that their jobs will all end on the first of the month, but that they're getting a bonus check, and he'll obviously put in like a recommendation. So he kind of walks off, and Bill then after they kind of, a couple of the employees mention, like one mentioned something about well, there goes my vacation time, all these like job related jokes, and Bill kind of mentions that he didn't want to sell the store. He's been there for 10 years, and that the store is kind of his life, and how he started out as a butcher and all this and that. But he mentions that he owns 49% of the business and that Danny owes 51%, and that's that. So
yeah, and he says it kind of like kind of resentfully in a way where it's like it's just fact of the matter, but like it sucks. Like, and so and like, but this is the thing, so it's like everybody else is going through that, so you don't think anything of it, you just think like he's in the same situation, his hands are tied. He also has this line where I think he's going out for like to take a leak or something, but he goes like I've got to take a fasty, and he just like walks out of this.
Yeah, I was like, what did that? It took me like, I tried listening to what he said because I couldn't make out what he said. I had to put on captions to hear what he said. But that's apparently a term for having to take a piss or something.
Yeah, I guess. I was just like, I just thought it was like super. I gotta take a fasty. I'm gonna try and use that in my life from now on.
Yeah. then we go back outside and we get this POV shot of someone. You assume it's Craig, but we get this POV shot of someone outside walking to a nearby payphone.
Yeah.
Then we see Linda and Jennifer are picking up the Diet Pepsi display that Sam Raimi destroyed. The phone rings and Jennifer answers, and the person on the other line kind of tells her she's beautiful, and we obviously learn that it's Craig. She tells him she called the police to leave her alone, and she hangs up. And she walks away, and the phone rings again, but she ignores it this time. And this is when we learn that Jennifer explains to Linda that they dated for 2 months over a year ago, and that he's been in prison since then. And apparently a situation happened at a bar where he got into a fight with a bouncer, and when they pulled him off of the bouncer was dead.
Oh shit.
It's a lot of information to take in.
Yeah, man. Well, and don't mess. This is it's great because it's really like building up. That Craig's somebody to like keep your eyes on this entire movie.
Yeah.
And there, during this scene, there's this great shot where it pans over at one point. Craig's just like standing in the doorway outside of the grocery store, like looking in.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
The dude's a fucking creep. Like, and I mean, and that's actually an interesting commentary, like that can hold up to this day. Is that like that whole just like obsessive like boyfriend thing where it's like, we were together for like a month, some indiscriminate time ago, like.
Yeah,
like, you should still love me. Like, dude, like, I don't fucking know you really. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of what Jennifer's going through. There's also a great shot of a magazine cover.
Yes.
Thing.
I'm glad you mentioned it because it's like, I want to know the context behind that picture because it's this weird, it's like a picture of Sting, like yelling, and he has some like red face paint on his eye.
Yeah,
and we're not talking about Sting the wrestler. We're talking about.
I wish we were because that'd make more sense.
We're talking about Sting from Sting and the Police. It's really weird. Yeah, I was like, what?
Bizarre.
It's
I was like, why focus on that all of a sudden? It's just like super funny. But then it kind of. I think it's Linda that gets on the phone next.
Oh,
the sequence, and there's fucking awesome. Again, an awesome shot.
Dude, it is a glorious shot.
It's so cool. Like, it's like from the perspective of like the rotary dial phone.
Yeah.
Where, it's like you're like looking out from the machine up at Linda on the phone.
Yeah.
Or Jennifer
really
on the phone.
Cool.
Or, sorry,
no, it's
it
Linda.
Yeah. But it's like such a cool shot. And I imagine all they had to do was probably like put like a, just like a, I don't know, like a stencil almost over the camera lens with that like cut out, but it looked so fucking cool.
It was awesome.
Anyway, so yeah, you kind of, I think this kind of leads you to picking back up with, you find Sam Raimi, aka the Butcher, sort of just like in the meat locker, I believe. And there's this reoccurring thing that happens in this movie where they show you these meat hooks, or no, it's not Sam. It's another person.
I think it shows a couple different people because, like, it turns out Linda.
Just doing their job and stuff.
Like the phone call was Linda thought it was Craig again, but it turns out it's her boyfriend Teddy, who tells her to bring home some beer. We get some more shots of Craig outside by the dumpster, and then we see Jennifer sweeping. Produce Joe is lifting up watermelons. Linda's pricing down bread. And I think there is a shot of someone in the meat locker, and you see some hooks hanging up.
Yeah, I think what I was like, it was like you see this shot of his character with the meat hook, but then it kind of transitions into the shot of I think it's Bub just like stocking beer or something like that after that, and so it was anyway, they're kind of like just it's like just showing like the activity at the store right now. And then we have we see there's like a conversation between Bill and Jennifer about
Oh, sorry. There's a conversation between Jennifer and Dave, this character Dave, about going out on a date on Saturday, and then Bill comes up and asks him to put out a display. He tells her about a potential job, and then we follow up with Linda and Bub, who are smoking a joint, and he tells this ridiculous fucking like story about how apparently him and Craig at one point were friends, but Craig started using drugs and started stealing. And then tells this story about how they got into a fight, and apparently his brother beat Craig over the head repeatedly with a Hamilton Beach blender.
Oh my god, dude! What? This is like so specific.
So random. This is what I'm saying. We're like all this weird, like random, like kind of like goofy, like shit that's going on before all of the gore and violence that's to come. But it's just a weird story.
Yeah, it's just a bizarre story about like this small town group of people, and I gotta say, some of these shots that we see like out throughout the story, like when that story is being told that you were just talking about, you get these great shots of like like old Oreos packaging and like Wonder Bread and stuff, and like we saw the Diet Pepsi from earlier. I love that we're like for some reason some of those like retro looks on the food just like help like solidify kind of like the fun aspect of this movie, where it's sort of just, it's retro a little bit.
It's a good point.
But yeah, it's like also there's that scene where it was Dave and Jennifer talking for a second. Bill comes up out of nowhere and starts talking about, I want to put together he's like such a fucking random character. He's like, I want to put together a display, and he's talking about using like a display of beans and pineapple, and he wants to call it his fart blossoms display or something. It's like it was so fucking random.
I forgot. It's right there. The fart blossom special. That's right.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? No wonder this grocery store is like kind of folding a bit, because this dude's making pineapple and bean displays trying to fucking sell shit. Like, oh my God.
It's really, really weird. And then we kind of follow up with, we know some of their names yet, but some of their names we don't. So we see Bill, Jennifer, Randy, Dave, Bub. We learn some of their names later, but basically it's like pretty much everyone except for Danny, and they're kind of having like a lunch break, and they mention how the cops aren't there yet, and then Bill talks about how he was like a volunteer firefighter and tells this story about, apparently it's just weird the way they tell the story. It's like we're supposed to know who this Parker guy is that he's talking about, but he tells a story about how they came across a bad accident with a headless corpse, and one of the officers was eating a hamburger while it happened, and that he has another hilarious line where he says, and everybody lost their cookies.
This guy, dude, he just has like a
he's ridiculous
for everything.
Yeah. It is like your uncle or your like, your uncle that has like ridiculous joke for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it's just there's a fucking joke or a line for every situation.
Totally.
And yeah, you're right. Like the way he's talking about this story and this Parker character, you're just like, oh, was I introduced to Parker earlier in the movie? But this leads to the police officers finally showing up.
Totally.
And they, the employees, I think Jennifer even makes it a point being like, yeah, we called you a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, like you see a couple of different sets of officers in this movie. These two are kind of bumbling, if you ask me.
Yeah, they I agree. And it's like they basically come, they ask if they've had any more trouble with Craig. They mentioned that they did a check on him and that he's out on parole, and that if they see him, to call him again, and then they pretty much leave just as fucking quick as they were there.
Dude, it was so fast. I was like, well, that didn't do much good.
Yeah, it was kind of like the cops in Slumber Party Massacre 2, where they just like briefly show up and they're like, Well, we got more important shit to do, so see ya.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, not for us. Yeah, and then you kind of go back to you have another interaction at the register with Jennifer and Linda, and then Linda or Jennifer's nose starts to bleed.
Yep.
Which I think it happened already once in the movie.
I don't remember. You might be right, but yeah,
there's like, it's like she kind of like, it's like she starts bleeding and she runs off to take care of it. Mm-hmm. And then it shows you this sort of like, I don't know, like back alley, like part of the store where it's like the dumpster and there's like kind of like what looks like almost like a doorway or something behind the dumpster really quick. So it looks, it looks accessible, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
And then this leads like Linda to kind of going out back with like some groceries or whatever. And it's how do I say it? You get the sketchy vibe the entire time, but you get this cool moment where I even though this wasn't like a brutal kill or anything, this was a really cool shot because
it was,
the suspense is building. There's like she's weirded out, and then you get this like almost like reflection in like was it off the blade? I feel like it was. And as the blade's like about to come down, it transitions into fucking Ted Raimi cutting a goddamn gigantic watermelon.
It's a cool shot.
It's like a cool shot. But I love that he like transitioned to, so anyway, Linda gets like presumably gets taken out, and Ted's character, Produce Joe, is just like fucking palming like meat out of this watermelon and eating it at the same time, which I just thought was great. And so you don't really actually see the action there, which is.
But like we said, it gets. Trust me. The rest some of them are pretty fucking brutal. There's some great gore and effects in this movie, but yeah, they kind of. And I don't know if maybe they did it that way, but yeah, it's kind of like the first kill was a little more artsy, but it didn't show it as much. But yeah, it picks up from there. So then we follow up with Bill and Danny, who are in the office talking about, Bill mentions how they've lost money for the last 2 years, and it's, they paint the picture that Bill's upset about losing this place. Danny has this line where he's like, as long as the check clears, they can turn this place into a porno shop for all I care.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he basically tells Bill, you're like, you should be happy. Like, at least you're getting some cash out of this deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But...
And then tells them to go check up on the kids downstairs.
Yeah. It seems like Bill's less inclined to have that place turn into the East Side Arcade than Danny.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think many people are going to get that reference.
No, and that's okay. That's okay.
I can't believe I always thought that was such like an off-putting name for that place. Cause I remember when I first moved there,
I thought it was
when you're a kid, you see the name arcade and you're like, oh, I want to go, play some pinball or something. And then your parents are like, yeah, it's not a kid arcade.
Yeah, you're not going in there, bud.
Is it still? I wonder if it's still there.
It's still there, dude. Like last time I was visiting, the East Side Arcade was still there.
I'll be damned. I've never actually been in there.
I am so fucking surprised,
Yeah.
But so like you said, he kind of sends Bill off to go check on everybody, and this is when Bill kind of like has this like it's a strange sequence where he like he picks up like a hammer and he kind of goes down this hallway in this store, and it's like leading to like maybe like a back storage room or something.
Yeah.
And he goes and he's like,
because he's first using the trash compactor and he hears it sounds like a door nearby is trying to open. And meanwhile this has happened, we also get a couple shots of Jennifer trying to clean the blood off her nose, and eventually like it's on her shirt, so she takes her shirt off. But one thing, I'm glad there's no nudity in this movie, and it didn't need it. But
that whole scene, I was like a little worried. I was like, are they just gonna like randomly put a topless scene in here? Because like,
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm so glad they didn't, because it would have just ruined the whole flow of the movie.
But yeah, continue with what you're saying.
Well, I was just gonna say, it leads him. you know, like this leads Bill to going outside kind of to near where Linda was earlier. And you see, you know, there's this great moment where, you know, Bill's kind of creeping among, like, close to the dumpster, and then he, like, this little adorable dog pops out of nowhere and, like, just, you know, kind of has like a little couple of yips, and it's just like fucking cute. And then you see some blood on the ground, and then you see fucking Craig behind the dumpster trying to get, like, into that little you know, like, doorway or whatever that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's a window. It's like
Yeah.
At this point, he's probably like, he's obviously watching, you know, Jennifer, you know, in the bathroom. But yeah, he stumbles upon Craig being a peeping Tom.
Oh my god! And this brief scuffle is so fucking great. So Bill, like, pulls, like, he pulls Craig from behind the dumpster, and they get into, like, another, like, you know, a little, like, fisticuff kind of bout. But this time, you know, like we said, Bill had a hammer, but he gets knocked, and the hammer gets, like, thrown, and in this fucking hilarious moment, like, Craig gets knocked down by Bill next to the hammer. He picks up the hammer right in time as Bill's bum rushing him, and he just doinks Bill right on the fucking head. Like, dude, it's like the softest blow. It's like, whop.
Yeah, but that's stump. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
It knocked him.
Yeah, and then we get another kind of shot that was like similar to when the knife cuts through the watermelon, because, like you mentioned, Craig blasts Bill in the face with the hammer, and then Bill goes to fall, and it cuts away to a sack of potatoes hitting the ground.
Yeah, which I thought was so fucking clever again.
It was,
like,
it was.
Because everybody knows, like, and that was the first thought off my head, was like, even, you know, like as comical as that blow was with the hammer, like, having the sack of potatoes, like, on the, like, dropped on the ground right there, you just like, dude, I bet Bill was just knocked the fuck out or something, man. Like, you know, just dropped like a sack of fucking potatoes. Like,
it was good. It was good.
It was well done, very well done. But yeah, and then you know, it kind of, like, takes you back to some of the action. You know, some more people are stalking Oreos. Who am I talking about? Linda is
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Oh my god,
Linda's dead.
Linda's fucking dead at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer's, like, getting some cleaning supplies, and shows Dave sneaking off behind, like, the storage area or whatever, drinking some brewskis.
Yeah, he, like, drinks a beer and crumples it and throws it into the ground, and then it pans down, and there's like 5 other
there's like a fucking
beers down there
already down.
What a little fucker.
I know. It's like, this guy. But then, you know, it kind of transitions into another shot of the office where motherfucking, oh my god, Danny is there, and it's you know, again, a really cool shot where, like, it shows him pulling, like, a bottle of fucking Grand Marnier or something like that off the fucking counter, and he pours himself a glass into this green bottle, and he pulls it directly like, it's like in front of the camera lens. He pulls it off, and you see him pour it, and then he puts the glass back in front of the camera, and so all you see is this kind of, like, silhouette through the green bottle, and then all of a sudden, boom, like, this like struggle starts happening where Danny's getting attacked, and you know, oh god, it's just such a cool shot. And but this time, this fucking kill that happened with Danny, you're starting to see some action. Okay, like, it gets, you know, you think you're just gonna get, like, a strangled, like, you know, he's gonna get strangled or whatever, but, you know, as he's struggling with the killer, he tries to, like, hit the PA system, you know, scream for help, and all the employees are hearing this, like, squeaking coming from the PA system, and then the killer slowly, and, like, while struggling, like, shoves Danny's head through the eye, like, onto, you know, like, one of those, like, receipt stakes or whatever. And it's pretty fucking brutal, man. Like, just that alone, because, like, you know, oh man, it doesn't shy away from that moment of, like,
not at all.
That point going through his head, and it's pretty juicy. There's some blood splatter afterwards, like, you know, there's, like, a receipt printer on his desk, and it's, like, the receipts that are coming out are, like, smeared with blood coming off of him and stuff. It's fucking cool.
There's also, like, blood dripping down into a lamp below. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a good. it's a good kill. It's fantastic because like you said, he pushes his eye through it and then pushes his head all the way down, like totally through it. So that would have not been very fun. Then we
that would suck.
Then we get like another POV shot of the killer. He's kind of you can hear some breathing as he's walking to the window that's in the office, looking down at Jennifer, who's now near the front. Then we follow up with her. She's kind of crying, and Dave comes up and hugs her. She tells him all the things she's worried about. She mentions how Teddy called and Linda's not back. Yeah. She mentions this shit with Craig, and he kisses her on the forehead, and then they start making out. We see one of the other characters, Tim. He's kind of stalking beer, and he's looking on.
Dude, yeah, he's like really into the scene that's going on out there. Like, he's all like they're like macking on the conveyor belt, and he's all like back there by the beer shelves, like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it's. Then he is kind of into it, and then we kind of follow up with some other people again, real quickly. We see Bub is stalking cereal. Randy, and then we follow up with Randy, who is digging through a jar of olives, and there's an eyeball. It's really random. There's an eyeball in there, but he ends up grabbing an olive instead to eat. Then we follow up with Produce Joe, who is, I don't know what he's cutting, but he's cutting something, and he's kind of swinging like kind of swinging like a weirdo, like he's swinging all goofy.
Yeah, he's like swinging like over his head and down to like chop these fucking veggies and shit.
Yeah. Then we get this cool shot where it shows him like pull back to swing again, and then as he's swinging, a knife swings into the back of his head.
Dude, it's dope.
And it's cool because the knife swings into his head, and this whole time he's had headphones. Like he's had headphones on the whole time listening to music. So this large knife swings into his head. You see the headphones like split in half and fall off of his head. He falls to the ground, and then it pans to a sign on the wall that mentions safety first, knives are sharp, please be careful. Yeah. And there's other scenes later in this movie where they kind of, unintentionally have some like comedy to the scene, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I think makes this movie really endearing, is that like they throw some of those things in there, like you're meant to have fun with this movie,
Totally.
And yeah, it's like such a cool kill, because like off the last kind of brutal one, this one was like, it just had some like other elements where, it surprises you. You have a little bit of humor in it. And yeah, I think it was a good kill, just because of how like the timing was with the swing to the head and everything. But this kind of takes you back up onto the main floor where, what's his name? Is it Dave or is it Tim? Tim, I think.
No, Dave. Dave's
the guy that was macking. Yeah, Tim was the guy that was spying. Dave is like stocking some stuff on the shelf, right? It's like
some detergent, it looks like.
Yeah. And it's like, again, it's kind of a really well-timed sequence where, the whole situation with Produce Joe happens, and then it cuts to him slicing open, to Dave slicing open a box.
Yeah.
And so, it's just kind of, it just works really well. But
it does.
At first you think he might be the next one, because the scene's like he's stocking some stuff, and some, items keep getting knocked off the shelf. But it does turn out to be like, what's his fucking name? Another employee.
Yeah, Bub's on the other side, and he asks to borrow Dave's box cutter.
Motherfucking
Then we see Randy, who is looking for Danny and Bill. He peers through, it looks like the door doesn't have a door handle on it. And he kind of peers through it, and then there's like a jump scare where while he's looking through it, like a nearby ladder falls on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't.
Bizarre. And also, like the door he was looking through, there's like this inexplicable like red glow coming through it. Like
yeah, and we never know we don't know what it's coming from because we never like really follow up with what's in that room.
No, because you just go almost immediately from that jump scare to Tim, I believe, who's like still working on the beer and stuff. He's like PLUing stuff in the storage closet, like the storage room, and like the door nearest him kind of like cracks open, and so he goes to investigate. You know, he's like, you know, thinking like, who's out there? What, you guys better stop fucking with me, like. Yeah,
which is kind of like you said. There's some tropes in this movie. It's one of those tropes where he thinks that someone's messing with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But you know, again, you have a kind of, you know, it's not like the most brutal in the movie by any means, but it's another really cool like death shot, because he gets as he's looking, he gets from the shadows, like an arm comes out and just stabs him in the gut with a fucking knife. And like, so not only is there like blood splatter kind of happening, but in the background you see like basically the knife had to have gone all the way fucking through him, because it's like busted open some beers behind him, so there's like suds spraying and some blood splattering on it, and it's just kind of a fucking cool shot.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, well, and the mystery like is so you're still held in this mystery of like who's like picking people off, because all you see is like the arm emerge from the shadows and then like come back, you know, and dude, it's cool.
Yeah, you do have no idea what is going on, and then we see a scene of Randy who's using like this bandsaw to cut a raw chicken in half. Jennifer's still cleaning the registers. Then we follow up with Bub, who is by the trash compactor, and it shows this view of like from the front of the compactor where you can see someone standing behind the compactor. Bub thinks that it's Tim. And he mentions how Tim's not going to be able to give him another wedgie because he's not wearing underwear.
He's like, I had the forethought to not wear underwear or whatever. He also like, while he's like getting closer and closer to the beer shelf, he says this line. He's like, "Anal itch got you down."
Oh yeah. That's right.
It's like so cheesy.
Well, because that's right. Because okay. So yeah, that's right. So that's right. Because he walks over to the beer cooler.
Because like Tim, it looks like Tim's standing in there or something like that.
Yeah, but he's like standing very, very still.
Yeah.
That's what he mentions the joke about the anal itch, and then he's like, "Can you actually speak, Tim?" And then just then from the other side, a pair of hands grab him, yank him through the cooler, and then carries him over. Oh, it has this great shot where as he pulls him through, he knocks some of the beer loose, and it shows one of them roll through the store, and it has this quick shot of Dave seeing the beer roll. But then we quickly follow up with the remainder of what's happening with Bub, because he gets carried on his shoulders over to the compactor, and you just know that with the compactor that this is about to be really, really fucked up. And we get this great shot of like he puts his face under it, he pushes the button, and we get this great shot of the hydraulic piece moving down. Then we get a close up of just Bub's face as he's screaming, and then the compactor gets closer and closer, and eventually it's disturbing but spectacular. Crushes the upper half of his head. Blood fucking starts splurting everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
His body goes limp. The compactor reaches the bottom and then starts moving back up again, and you get this great shot of blood splurt all over the compactor's hydraulic as it's moving back up. It is brutal.
It is fucking brutal, dude. It's because like you said, like you see like the half of his face just like it like impacts and then crushes, and you're just like, oh my god, dude. Yeah, and again, coming off of this scene, a great transitional scene where it's like all of a sudden, you're back with Sam Raimi, the butcher, and he's like, through some plastic wrap, looks like he's
Ted Raimi.
That's Ted, yeah. And it looks like he's it looks like he's like wrapping like some meat or whatever, you know. And so it's just it oh god, it's just the way they do these kills and the way they like then get out of them.
Yeah,
so fucking cool. But that kill is that kill's brutal, but I feel like we like there's another one that tops it that we'll talk about.
Totally. But we kind of quickly go from kill to kill though, because like we're how you mentioned, we follow up with Randy, who he's like looking through some bad meat, and then it looks like he picks up something that looks like it's a human hand in like a steak packaging, but before he can get a really good look at it, he gets grabbed on the shoulders. And what happens next?
Oh my god, dude. So like he gets picked up and like, which by the way, this dude has some like Michael Myers, Jason level like extra human strength, because it looks like he picks this dude, he picks him up by one hand and moves him over to the meat hook that's just been dangling waiting for something, and like you know he's gonna hook him, but like he hooks him through his fucking face and like through the side. It's like goes through his mouth like the side, and oh my god, dude! Like the shot of him just dangling there on the meat hook,
it's
with
gnarly.
Like, blood just coming out of his face is fucking awesome. It was gnarly is a great word for it.
And we see it more with like the kill you're talking about that comes later, but there's just some great fucking effects. Like it looks so real. It's amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think how much fun he must have had. Like, I don't know, he was probably like standing on a stool or whatever, like with the effects, like, you know, in his mouth and like stuff like that. Just like how much fun that would be just to be like, you know, like dangling there, like
totally
spooking your fucking coworker or whatever, you know, like, that would be fucking, it's so well done.
It is.
But yeah, it's, and also side note, there was another shot in this scene, you know, he's going through some of the product and he picks up like what appears to be some maybe not so fresh meat, and he smells it and he goes, "That's a sale for tomorrow." That's on the shelf.
Yeah, that's right, I forgot about that.
Oh, so you know, it's just fucking great. But you know, this takes you like, so that and you know, the he kind of goes like all of the kills in here, I think the actors do a really good job of like showing a struggle and then just going limp, because you know, he's dangling and then you catch this like you know, like shot from the ground up of him, and then it shows like the meat locker, like meats and stuff, and you know, it kind of picks back up, you know, you see like you know, Dave's like, you know, tearing up some of the boxes that he's just finishing up. You got, you know, Jennifer's still working on on stuff near the register, and this time like you also see like a random like hand get plopped into the water tank, like the lobster tank, which
it's super random. It's very, very random.
Just stuff like that that's just kind of like starting to happen. And you know, you mentioned in one of the kills earlier how you know, Dave sees like that beer can rolling by, and it kind of reminds you how in close proximity all these things are happening to each other.
Right. Yeah, because it's obviously you're not in this huge setting. It's just a very small. But yeah, the shot of the hand going into the lobster tank is super random.
It's super random. You're like, okay. But you know, this kind of picks up. So Dave basically, like, after a couple like weird moments, he like looks like he goes to sort of see where people are at, and you know, this takes him up to the attic area where it's kind of, you know, it's got like enough of a creepy vibe just to like set you on edge a bit, where you're like, you know, he gets up there and he sees like Halloween decorations and old masks and stuff, and then like some Christmas decorations, and he's just looking through, you know, presumably that attic probably smells like wacky tobacco. Oh, that's where the kids hang.
And but before he goes but before he goes up into the attic, he goes and checks out the bathroom.
Oh yeah, that's right.
and he sees this like pair of shoes under the stall, and it's very clearly someone's like feet cut off at the ankle and a pair of boots. But he's like, very funny, guys. Pig's feet, like thinking it's a prank.
Pig's feet. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He looks straight at them. Like it's not even like like obscure. He stares straight at them, and he's just like, well, pig's feet. Like there's
Ridiculous.
There's no fucking way.
But yeah, I like how it goes. He goes up in the attic. There's like a bunch of spooky Halloween masks, a bunch of different like decorations from all these different seasons, and then he gets like frightened by seeing Danny, who is still somehow fucking alive.
Right?
That was a shock.
Yeah.
He looks out the small, like he's up in this building, and there's like from where he's at, it's like a one-way window, but from the outside, it's a vent. And he looks out and he sees that Jennifer is unaware that Craig is approaching her. He starts pounding, trying to get her attention, but he can't. So he ends up climbing down the stairs, and as he does, he once again, like Danny, like tries to get his attention and mumbles something at him, and it distracts Dave, and he falls to the ground. And then he gets quite a hilarious surprise when he climbs to his feet. So,
dude, yeah, he gets fucking bum rushed. Like the camera just runs at him, and like, you know, he gets like knocked into like the fucking, I don't know, the wall or whatever. There's like a shot of a cleaver coming down that like hacks at him, but that's not what gets him.
The way that he gets knocked against the wall, though, is hilarious. Because like you said, you get this frantic shot of the camera running, and then the killer, jumps up and uses a lamp for momentum and does a swinging drop kick.
It's so fucking good.
Dude,
but
his death, though, is...
Oh, my God.
I like, as if the compactor kill... The meat hook kill wasn't, like up the stakes. Like, holy fuck, this kill is incredible.
Dude, it's so good. So he gets like dragged over from across the room, and because like I said, you saw him get like hit with the meat cleaver, and you think maybe he's just gonna cleave to death. No. He gets dragged across the room, and there you see like a fucking bandsaw, and the killer just hoists him up and like puts his fucking face on the bandsaw and fires it up. And they do not shy away from this great special effects in this fucking scene, because
I wonder how they did that.
Oh my God, right? Like the killer's like pushing his fucking face, his head, like through the bandsaw blade, and it's literally going down like half of his face. It's like shaving
it's like his mouth
through
up.
like the top of his mouth. And that was the most disturbing part about it to me, was like,
totally.
like you see it like go into his face, and like you see it cutting across his face. They hold the camera on there, and like you see it like interacting with like parts of his teeth and stuff, and there's like blood splatter happening, and it's just fucking brutal, dude. Like I was not expecting that one. Like,
it's gruesome, and it is amazing.
Oh,
and like you said, they do not hold back.
It's
and
so
good. And it makes it so effective. It's awesome.
Yeah,
because you don't see many kills like that. Like that's one of the really highlights of this movie is really creative kills that were done well with amazing effects, and they don't shy away from it. And I love it. Yeah, and this is a movie that a lot of people have never even heard about or seen. So you know what I mean? That's what I
like. Like that's what's surprising about this movie to me, is that it seems like a movie you need to watch.
Totally.
After learning like who's involved in it and stuff like that. And
100%.
What you get out of it is so worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this, after that intense scene, it kind of, you pick back up with Jennifer a bit, right? Like she's still kind of on the floor.
I think she kind of maybe notices like how quiet the store is. She starts going around calling different people's names out. She's calling out Dave's name. She walks by the lobster tank but doesn't notice the hand in it. And then she also got another scene where she like is looking for Randy, and she steps on an eyeball on the ground.
Oh yeah, that's right.
a piece of meat, like a piece of raw cow, randomly comes swinging out on her, and then she turns around into Randy's dead body that's still on the hook.
Yeah.
And then she notices a shadow on the other side. She runs into the meat freezer, grabbing a meat hook, and we get this great shot of like the camera pans up behind her, and we see somebody's bisected lower half. It has all these great scenes of like recapping some of these deaths that happen, because it goes from there to her making her way out and running to Danny and Bill's office and noticing blood coming out from underneath the door. She falls down this chute randomly. And we see, it's the character. So we mixed up the names. There's one character where it never shows his name, but it's the character that gets killed in the beer cooler. And we see his body. There's 2 garbage cans, and half of his body is in each of one. And there's a sign that says, "As advertised, half off" on it. Another one of those great gags of the movie.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like they really, I don't know. They lean into it, and then there's this awesome. There's like a scene earlier where it's Jennifer and Dave talking, and Bill interrupts them, and like there's like a conveyor belt in the background. You kind of revisit that room here in a second, because you hear the conveyor belt going, so Jennifer runs into the other room, and you see this shot of Produce Joe, right? I think his body, which is like cut to pieces. Yeah, and it's like going down the conveyor belt, and it's just like, I don't know, like you said earlier, like they revisit some of these kills in a really like interesting way. It's not like they don't make it boring where it's just like body here, body there. It's like, right, the killer's repositioned it, hacked up the body in a different way or something, and so same
with Bubs. You see like his whole body contorted near the compactor. So yeah, like you said, but yeah, so she basically just comes across virtually almost everyone that she worked with dead. It must have been super traumatizing. She runs to the back door but can't get it open. So she ends up making her way to the cooler, and she sees Dave's decapitated and mangled fucking face sitting on the beer cans, and then the lights go dark. And you're like, oh shit, like as if things weren't bad enough, you know what I mean?
Right, like that shit's coming for you at that point, and like that, and that's the thing. So like you don't know what is coming for you though. So when motherfucking Bill just kind of comes out of the woodwork towards Jennifer, she's like pretty relieved. You know what I mean? At first.
Well, hang on. That doesn't happen just quite yet. So she comes out. She sees a pair of headlights pull up outside. Oh wait, hang on a second. Where were we just at?
The lights just went off.
Hang on, I just got.
Oh, you're right. Like
yeah. Okay, so I'm right.
Like
She sees a pair of headlights pull up. She tries to greet them, but it's too late. Yeah, and then she sees a reflection of Craig coming up from behind her.
That's right.
Yeah,
she necks him with the hook or whatever, right? She right into a shopping cart.
Yeah, well placed shopping cart, and he slumps to the floor. And this is when you can tell that she's kind of, like this has been a lot that she's had to take in, so she's like whimpering and sobbing.
Yeah, dude.
She mentions Dave's name and how they had this date. And so basically you can tell that she's starting to become hysteric from everything. That's happening.
Which would be like, I feel like everybody would be there, going through the scene that she just saw and everything. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Then she runs into Bill.
Yeah. And Bill comes off obviously like you think he's totally like going to be like the savior of the movie.
Well, 'cause-
he's like,
yeah.
he's made it to the end. He even
'Cause
mentions that Craig like domed him with his own hammer or something like
exactly.
that. You know,
Like that's where we left off. We left off with him getting knocked out, and then all these kills. You know what I mean? So yeah.
But as Bill tells Jennifer, I'm gonna go call the police again. Like that's when Jennifer starts noticing certain things. Like Bill's hand is covered in blood.
Mhm.
It seems like
And
the
so
back
is
of my
she.
shirt where
Yeah.
like she was just hugging me is covered in blood.
Totally.
And then Bill just has this moment where he turns around and it's like game on for him. You can tell like he's like all of a sudden just like sinister Bill. He like slams the phone down and like
It's awesome.
reaches like lunges at her, grabs her by the fucking hair at one point and like rips out a chunk of her hair.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice that? I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck, dude? Like,
They,
he's just on a rant, about like being like, this is my store, like this is the business, like this is my life, this is the business, you can't take the store away from me, all this stuff. It's like clearly like, yeah, this motherfucker snapped.
That's
like,
because like you said, he mentions how he had to kill Danny and that the night crew had nothing to do with it, but he couldn't let anybody stop me. So he says, I guess I got a little carried away.
Yeah, and he says it, and he looks like a fucking maniac when he says it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then Jennifer spits on his face.
yeah. Which, like, wow, that was probably a really good idea. But after she spits on him, he has this great line where he's like, "Don't you see? I'm just crazy about this store." And then he mentions that there's going to be one more kill tonight, and that Craig's going to take all the blame.
Yeah.
But
she gets out of it though, right? Because she it's like the hammer hit from earlier, but she domes him with this glass bottle that's like on the conveyor belt next to her, like the register that she's by, and it's such a polite like knock on the temple.
Yeah, it's like a breakaway glass, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then she runs off to go hide, and like there's this like shot where I can't really tell like what she hid behind, but she's like
it looked like there's some kind of like shelving unit or something.
Yeah,
but it has like little holes in it so she can kind of see out.
Yeah, and so she's like hiding behind this shelf, and she like wets herself. There's like a whole sequence where it's like she like pees herself, and like it's like on the floor flowing.
No, those were broken glass bottles.
Those were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, okay, so that makes more sense because I thought it was really strange. I was like, why would they just like have her piss her pants like right now of all things in the movie? Like, right. Okay, so that makes more sense. But yeah, and so Bill's like on the hunt. He's lurking around the store trying to find her. And in classic fashion, there's that moment where he gets close, and she's trying to like be really quiet, and she can see him through the holes in the shelving board, and he like this dude like he's just so unsettling because he's so, I don't know, he's just a fucking maniac at this point. But anyway, so she like he just like I can't remember, it's like either there's like a moment where I think they both kind of see, he sees her, she acknowledges it or whatever.
He gets detected to her presence by, he looks down and he notices that not only was there these broken bottles, but her blood, because she was bleeding, her blood had seeped into the water that was pooling underneath the shelving unit, and he sees that, and that's what tips him off.
Fair enough.
So he starts like slicing the shelf. She runs off again, and she ends up going and grabbing 2 kitchen knives. That
was a cool shot too, where she like when she's grabbing the knives, because she's just like, she grabs them off the shelf, and it's like double wielding these kitchen knives, like yes,
like Rambo. Yeah,
dude, like I'm ready to fuck somebody up.
And then you mentioned earlier like all the old packaging, and we get this shot where she's in the cereal aisle, and we see all this like super old box art that was a little bit before our time, so it's interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
But she's in the cereal aisle, and he like comes blasting bless you, by the way. He comes like blasting through from the other side, grabs her by the hair. She drops one of the knives, and then she tries to stab him with the other, but misses and stabs it into a box of Frosted Flakes. But then, kind of like earlier, how she blasted the bottle over his head, she grabs a bottle of wheat germ and smashes it over his head, releasing his grip. Okay, so this is the only part of the movie that irritates me. Okay, so she does that. She runs back towards the front of the store. Don't you think she would have fucking realized that Craig wasn't there anymore? It's the only part of the movie that irritates me.
Yeah, like clearly that dude's body is no longer there.
Yeah. It's
a good point, man. Like,
what's the only part of the movie that I was just like, they must have forgotten something there.
That is the thing that like always bugs me, like about situations like this, where it's like, if it was me, like I would be like really hyper observant about like what's going on around me. Like I might be like in a panic, but like I feel like it'd make me want to pay attention to like everything,
100%.
But so like that yeah, that's kind of strange. But while she's at the door, like who the fuck like runs up to the like on the other side?
It's like some kind of delivery man. Like he just, I think this might.
Is that Greg Nicotero?
Yeah.
Nicotero?
But it doesn't look like him though, because he's so young. But yeah, this like random like unassuming delivery man comes, and then he gets fucking murdered from behind. You're like, how the fuck did Bill get outside so quick?
That's what I keep wondering too. I'm like, what? So Bill has like inhuman strength and apparently like speed to boot or something.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's like Michael and Jason. He can just pop up anywhere.
Yeah, what the hell? And then he dispatches the delivery dude with like some blood splatter on the window, on the door and everything. And
yeah,
and then it's like it's like this, like where the fuck are you now? Because he just kind of fades back into the dark, and but fairly quickly kind of appears in the store again.
Well, because we get a scene that's kind of, and this obviously came out before it, but kind of reminiscent of a scene from The Ice Cream Man, where she's walking around and she sees what she thinks is Danny, and then she gets closer and it turns out it's fucking Bill holding Danny's severed head.
Now I just can't pick. I'm just picturing Clint Howard instead of.
Yeah. Hey, we haven't used that name in a while, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, but you're right. Like it's like this is like the most maniac moment I think for Bill, because he like his hand is just shoved inside Danny's fucking head,
and he's like mocking her.
Yeah, and he's just like.
But then.
Oh yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna probably what you were just about to say. So
but then we get this like as if like. It's just crazy because she has one of the knives. She goes to swing, and he fucking just grabs the blade to stop it. Oh my God, that had to have been so fucking painful. And he wiggles it from her grip too, with it fucking like embedded in his hand. It's gnarly. I was like, holy shit.
I know. I was like, this guy don't give a fuck anymore, man. Like he's
then he has like
fearless.
He has another kind of. Yeah, at this point he is crazy because he references like the next thing he says is he references like his Parker story from earlier, because she's like slowly backing down an aisle, like he's crazy. He says, "Here comes Parker walking down 9 miles, swinging a goddamn." Sorry, it's a lot what he says. Swinging a goddamn head by the hair in one hand and a sandwich in the other.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
He's like, in one hand, he's just swinging gleefully that fucking head. And he's just munching this like peanut butter sandwich or whatever. Like,
or whatever.
Other hand, like in his bloody hand. Like,
yeah, he's gone full blown lunatic.
It's nuts. And so, so Jennifer books it. She's like trying to get away from him. And she runs into Craig, and who like, is shockingly still alive and not the villain of the story.
Right.
And but as she runs into him, so very closely behind is Bill, who
totally
like bum rushes, shoves Craig into like the fucking shelf, and then bludgeons him with Danny's severed head.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he's not. Yes, he is. Oh my fucking God, dude.
Yeah, it took me a second to realize I thought he was hitting him with like a frozen turkey at first, and then I like had to rewind it, watching. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's so good.
And then as if like that wasn't like to add insult to injury, he bludgeons him with the head and then sets the severed head on his body and perches it on his body.
Yeah.
And then we see what, you know, Jennifer has ended up, she made her way back to the bathroom from earlier. She climbs out of the window. She goes to her Jeep and goes to open it. But when she opens it, Linda's fucking dead body comes piling out. So, you know, like you said earlier, you mentioned earlier how it's not like they just revisit these same deaths. It's like the killer like restaged these deaths in a pretty elaborate way. So she comes face to face with her best fucking friend's dead body as if the rest wasn't traumatizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So fucking, it'd be so intense. And
then
and then out of nowhere, like motherfucking arms kind of just grab her by the legs, you know, and just start dragging her underneath the car. Clearly it's Bill, but it's like how the fuck did he get there so
dude
fast?
Like I'm saying, like this movie just jumps from one crazy ass fucking thing to another, does not relent, and I absolutely fucking love it.
I'm here for it. And so he's dragging her underneath the car, and you see like Jennifer's hands are like above her head, you know, as she's getting dragged, and she comes out from underneath the car with that fucking blade. Yeah, presumably the blade that was in her best friend. And
true.
And like right as Bill's going for her, she just fucking tanks that knife like right into his fucking chest or whatever. It's like, or no, into his back, I think.
No, it's a chest.
Is it his chest? Yeah.
Then we get this really bizarre. It's like one of the most bizarre scenes in the movie because she stabs him. And then he falls backwards, and like as he's hitting the ground, somehow the blade like pops out of his stomach, flies into the air, and then lands into a nearby cardboard box. I was like, that was the only shot of the movie that I didn't understand. I was like, what was that? Like,
yeah, it just lands perfectly on point, like with its point into that box.
Yeah,
it's so strange. And then so Jennifer runs up to the payphone nearby and like starts trying to call for a fucking squad car to come down.
Yeah. But she doesn't get very far though.
Dude, motherfucking Bill. Like
he just will not give up.
No, he comes busting. He like throws his head through like the fucking phone booth door or whatever, trying to grab at her. And he just like starts like gets out and he starts shaking it and he knocks it over. And oh man. But you know, I guess, you know, Craig to the fucking rescue in this scene.
It's about time.
Yeah, to do something useful, please. Like he fucking gets the cleaver that Bill had that got knocked out of his hand at some point, and he just, you know, he shoves Bill over and starts cleaving him.
Totally, just like repeatedly.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hacks.
Like to the point where you think he's dead.
Yeah. You definitely like. I definitely was just like, okay, the motherfucker's gone now, right? And you know,
and then. As if like everything, like as if this movie wasn't fucking wild enough. Like the ending is just like I did not see it coming at all, and it's fucking great. But yeah, it's like just as if this night couldn't get any fucking worse. Yeah. And this is where I'm talking about, where we mentioned at the beginning how, and I'm glad we saved, for anyone that hasn't seen the movie, save the name for last. But on the packaging, on all the ads, the whatever, it was like. That, you know, that Bruce Campbell was in this movie and was a star of this movie. He's literally in it for the last like 3 minutes. So
it's the reverse Drew Barrymore.
Because this fucking cop car comes screeching out of nowhere. Bruce Campbell hops out and tells them to fucking freeze.
Yeah.
They get thrown onto the fucking hood of the cop car. They get searched and then get handcuffed, and Bill pops back alive and tells the cops how they did it. They killed everybody in the store. Dude, you're like, damn, is this really like? Is this how this movie's gonna end?
Dude, how fucking sinister, right? Like his last, like presumably his last fucking breath is screwing these people over.
And then his maniacal laugh afterwards too. Yeah, it's great.
And just I love when movies end like this. But the shot of just like Jennifer realizing that she is now fucked, right? Yeah. And basically just screaming. And it's like, ah! And like, it just like the camera just zooms in on her mouth and then like,
it's
boom,
great.
credits. It's
because we get after that happens, Campbell comes back and mentions how it's a bloodbath in there. There's bodies all over the place and they're mutilated. And yeah, like you said, we see this real quick shot of Bill's eyes jolt open again. That Jennifer screamed to end the movie, like kind of leaving it on like what just happened? Like, did Bill wake up and murder all of them, or are they going to go to jail for this crimes they didn't commit? Like, it's just a super bleak, dark ending, and you're like, what?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I love shit like that, where you're like, oh man, it's just like I said, the movie just goes a mile a fucking minute once it gets started, and it's just absolutely insane, and I love it.
Yeah, I really like this movie. Like I had never seen it before.
No.
But like we kind of kept saying, you know, the people that are the names that are attached to this movie like warrant you wanting to check it out. After
100%.
having watched it, I definitely would want to watch it again at some point. You know, like it's just fun. Like I love they really do a good job kind of like getting you into the setting, and I think it's kind of nice that it's only focused at the store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a good setting. It's a good contained setting for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just, oh my God. And then some of the fucking kills, man. Holy shit. Like
Top
I haven't
notch.
seen a couple of those like like that saw kill was like, like, I mean,
super creative.
Just really fucking well done.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie that I'll be heavily recommending to people.
Yeah.
Now that I finally, it's one of those movies that I've wanted to see for a while, but just like haven't, you know, had the luck of seeing. So I was super stoked when it just popped up on Shudder randomly. I was like, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm it was one of those, like, as soon as I saw it on there, I was like, this sounds good, and like put it in the queue, you know, and I'm glad we ended up like pulling it out. But oh man, you know, I would say overall I'd probably give this 20 sharp knives to produce Joe's head out of 30 sharp knives. Okay.
I would give it 9.5 Sam Raimi completely obliterating a Diet Pepsi stand out of 10.
I could watch that shot so many times.
Oh yeah,
just getting off.
I wish someone would make like a fucking dude, like TikTok reel of that just on repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, yeah, I can't say it enough. Like, this movie is super fun. It does take a little while to get its legs, but once it does,
it's worth it.
It's so worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it 100%.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, this leaves us with 48. Now we got 49 coming up, and a big 50 right after that, man.
Yes, sir.
The wacky WacArnold's.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for fucking 50.
50 is gonna be a good one. 50 is gonna be such a fun one.
Yes.
It might, it's one of those, like, it might even end up being a bit of a longer episode, just because there might be more that we want to laugh about.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course. There's so much. Yeah. It's like it's like one of those movies where this was like the whole reason we started doing this. It was like how the concept started was like memories of watching that movie. So we're not going to spoil it yet, but episode 50 is going to be amazing.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, on this note, we'll leave the number 48 here. I do expect some body counts from us. I think David hit it on the head. We got to start doing that. I like kind of prefacing that. But, you know, as always, we'll be back.
Yes, we will. See you next time.
See you next time.